Okay, so today let's complain about everything. I often find myself complaining about everything in my life. Why was I born in that country? Or why was I born to this family? Or why do I not have more? Why is the weather bad? I complain, I find myself complaining a lot. And there's this idea or philosophy I learned about it's from Stoicism, and there's this idea about the dichotomy of control. And basically what you do is make a table, 2 columns, and one column is what can you control, and the other column is what can you not control. And then you basically list out the things you can control and not control. For example, like the stock market is something I cannot control, or the weather, or people's expectations, or people's actions, other people's actions. But what I can control is my thoughts, my emotions, my actions, my interests, say. And I think that's a very simple but profound exercise. Listing down what you can and cannot control. And when I find myself complaining, I try to remember these things. I try to remember that oftentimes the things I'm complaining about are not within my control. And what I can control is how I react or how I respond to that. It's easier said than done, of course, but getting started is the best thing I think I've managed to do in the past few years. And everything becomes about energy. There's positive energy, negative energy, and I need a lot of positive energy in my life. Everyone does. Now, the question becomes, the question is whether you want to go in a certain direction and head dive into it. And as humans, we get a lot of tendencies to do the wrong things, or the things that are not particularly good for us. And I find myself deviating. I know that deep down I wanna head in a certain direction that is ultimately beneficial and good for me. But along the way, there's so many distractions pulling me in, there's so many tendencies. Now, the complaining part. When you complain, you have to give energy to that complaint. You have to speak, you have to think about the complaint, and then your energy gets converted into something negative. And sometimes, it becomes unbearable, and you have to let it out sometimes. But for the most part, I want to try to minimize my complaints and preserve my energy. And also, an observation, complaints are more of a social thing from what I've seen, because you can socialize with other people, you can relate with other people by complaining, and that's an interesting thing I've seen and I've done myself, complaining to relate with others. But nevertheless, I wanna keep my head in a certain direction and keep moving towards that. So yeah, that's it.